Hi, this is Susan. We're here at my workstation and we're going to make a clock. And we're going to make it out of cereal box. So let's look at the dimensions of it and I'll explain stuff about it. Okay, so you need some cereal box, and it's important to take your sanding block and go over it because it's got kind of a waxy surface and you want the glue to adhere and your paint as well. So give it a sanding. And for this project, we'll need just a tiny bit of this. This is called a Tyvek bag. And these are really great, if you don't know that, to use for any of your hinges. So we're just going to need the tiniest bit of this bag. I've been using it for a long time. And I'm just going to even use half of this strip. So, and then we'll need some trash plastic. Just a little piece of that for our door. So, this is not difficult. It's just multiple pieces. And so you'll make several pieces of the same piece. And so let me just go over that. So like you'll have a back and an inner part and then a front. And you'll need to cut these strips for the sides. You'll need 2 long strips, and you'll want to cut those using a good metal ruler if you have it. You know, one of these long rulers. Don't try to hand cut it, because if you have any kind of gap in it, any kind of slight curve, then you'll have a gap in the sides of the clock. So definitely use your ruler. Okay, so let's look at the design and how I drew this. And you start out with this circle. So you've got your clock face and you've got the outer circle. So start there and notice that the distance from the clock face to the outer edge is the same down here in the body of it and the same down here. And so you want to be consistent with that. And so start with this circle. It could be, you could lightly draw a circle just to keep them to get, looking similar. But this is more of a teardrop. So it's like a lady's curved waistline or an hourglass, or you think of a lady in a corset. It comes in, and this is called a grandmother clock. And the grandfather clock is more straight up and down. The one that's curvy is called a grandmother clock. So it's got a curvy shape. So if you do start with the first circle, you can come down here and adjust the second circle with this curve in between them. So look, it's kind of like down here, it looks kind of curved right in here, and like it comes out like the hips of a woman. So you see it comes out just a little bit. And then we've got the footing, which is just a 3-part scallop here. It just goes in, around, and back out. So I drew this, so I know you can too. And let me just tell you the height of it. And now this, I have 2 options here for the top. And one is the lettuce edge, kind of scalloped. And that's in case you don't have any resin pieces. If you have resin pieces, you can put those onto it, and that's your decorative part. If you don't have resin pieces, then you might want to put this scallop, excuse me, the scallop will match the scallop that's right in here, and that'll make it decorative. And if you plan on using some parts of resin, like here's a little resin mold I got off of Temu, and so you could just put these up here on the top. You can cut away pieces and make them fit, and so you'll go with just this arc. So when you're drawing out your plan, kind of think of what resin pieces you might be using, because see, you could cut this out and cut these away and bend these down, And then that would fit on each side. And I'll show you the finished result. But there's all kinds of different little resin pieces that'll, you could turn this upside down, use it in different spots. So that's why you can choose the lettuce edge for the, and you can also make like little clay flowers or little paper flowers and, doll it up however you want. So choose either the plain or the lettuce scalloped edge. And you're looking at the height of this being right at, with the pointy edge, it's right at 7 inches from the base. And then this is 2 1/8 across from here to here in the base. And let's see, the clock face is, let's see, that's 1 5/8 inch. So I know you can draw it because I did it. And you can make your clock face with, I just painted a little piece of cardboard and then drew the numbers on. Now this, I did purchase this bag of these, they're like for hanging curtains to go over a rod. I just put in rings. I was looking for rings for this project, and but I believe because they have this second ring on them that they're to be sewn onto curtain fabric, and they come in multiple colors. So I just cut the ring off, and that's what I'm using. So if you don't have that, you can make that out of paper and just paint it gold. And you will need a head pin, and I'll show you why. We have to hang the pendulum that goes right in here. So I have these little pieces. You could cut this out of cardboard if you don't have these, but they will go, on front and back of the wire to be our pendulum. And this is not hard at all. Oh, here's the little bead. I've stuck it to something so I wouldn't lose it. It's just a little, small little filigree bead cap and then a little bead. And this will go for the handle right there. I just stuck it to the edge of this with some old glue dots so I wouldn't lose track of it. And then, like I said, we'll just need a small little piece of Tyvek. I only need half the size of this, like maybe 1 inch or a little over 1 inch, because we're going to do the hinges at this point right here and this point right here, and this does open. Let me clear my throat. I guess I'm having allergies again. Okay, so again, we need the back. And if you take these and cut these, you'll be cutting repeat patterns. So make your first ones, make these all the same. And then for the inside is to help you line up this side wall. This will go like this. You need to bring this down so when the next piece comes, it'll glue like that. It'll glue just over that tiny little flap. So I took the inner piece, I drew it a little thicker than it needs to be cut just so you can see it. See how you'll cut it away just the slightest. It really only needs to be the thickness of your wall, your side wall. And so that will help you push up against and get this curve, because you need something to help you with this curve, because you'll be holding it, waiting for the glue to dry in each spot. And this makes it a whole lot easier if you take this inner piece and just trim away just enough. I made it dark, larger just for you to see it. Okay, so, and then we're going to work on the front piece. and add parts to it, and then it'll fit on top of that. And over here you can see where I broke up, initially when I was designing this, I broke up the different pieces. And then I realized I was only really going to need this one piece right here, because that'll also be the door. So that'll be this whole piece together, so it's not cut apart. And then this piece for down here, and then the foot piece for the foot. So let's look at those pieces. Okay, so I've gone ahead and made this up. And you can see I've put the side on it. So I took the back piece and I did 2 of them. I thought it was important to give it a little more stability, so I glued 2 pieces together. Then I cut the inside piece. I just cut away the edge just the slightest bit and laid that onto, glued that onto the back. And then that gave me the way to put this edging. And you can see right up in here where I had the flap that I overlapped. And I think that's real important, so you get the peak and no gapping where you could see into the clock. And see, that'll help when you push that up against. Now, I only did 1 layer because I like to take wood glue and put it in, water it down, and paint it on. After I get this all put together, I paint it on the sides. Once you get this put together, first you're going to trim off anything that's standing out that looks like it needs to be trimmed. And then go ahead and do the wood glue paint with, wood glue and water. Okay, so you notice that this is brown right here. And that's because the pendulum is going to go in there. And the rest of this, okay, you see this has got this bowed down. These are all just scrap pieces. Now they need to be flush with the sides or even smaller. This one looks like it's standing up just a little bit. They need to be flush so that the front will go on flush. And you'll need to paint this one. So when you're putting the glue on, try to be neat with the glue on this. Now these others, you can see where I just put extra glue to make sure it held on real good. Now you've got this piece because it curves out on that side, and I've got this because that's that line right there. And then this down here is where it comes in, so I've glued it to pull it in. And this one, it had a little bit of a curve right there, but it didn't really do all that much, but it's a little more stability. So go ahead and paint a few pieces before you put everything together. And that'll be the door, and I'll show that to you why. And that'll be this inside. Now, here's where this comes in handy. We do need like a piece of either a little jewelry spacer or a little piece of cardboard, because I made a hole in this. You center it, make your hole, and this will go down in it. But to make sure this doesn't fall through your hole at any point, go ahead and put a little jewelry finding or another piece of cardboard a little bigger so that it'll not fall through. And you see at the end, once I put it through, I took my jewelry pliers that are the cone shape, and I just twisted that at the end. And the reason is to be able to, I've got a glue dot on this, but I'm going to glue it. But use some gummy glue, like let your glue sit out and be a little gummy. And that way it won't come through the pendulum, the pieces. But, well, it's only got the glue dot on one side. So I do need to glue that. Okay. So there you see how it's going to hang down. So we need to do this. Let me go ahead and do it now. It needs to hang down, be in there, because once you put the front on, then it's going to be hard to get in there to do any painting or putting the pendulum in there. Now, it's good if your glue's a little bit older so that it doesn't go through, and also it'll help set it up quicker. Okay, so I've got a little bit of glue on here and on my fingers. And so I'm just going to set it on there. Be nice if we had time to dry the glue, but for the sake of the video, just going to see if I can get it. And then we'll go back and touch this up with some gold paint down the road. Okay, now if you want your pendulum to swing, then don't glue the top. But if you want it to stay in place, see down here, don't glue. You can glue this in the top so that it stays and doesn't turn, or else you can just leave it like you like. Okay, so this is gonna take more time to glue up. So this is not gummy enough glue. Okay, so let's talk about, while I'm holding this, I'm going to talk about these next pieces. And this is where I say it's not hard, it's just repetitive. You know, I said I used 2 on the back. Well, on the front, I'm using 3 full pieces, full size. And when I say full size, that's from the tip to the bottom. And you need 3 of these. One of them, you're going to leave the clock back in. You're not going to cut this circle out. And that's so you have a place to set. Either go ahead and draw the clock face onto that piece, or set the piece onto it and glue it in, whatever you choose for your clock face. And the next 2 pieces, you'll have that circle cut out. And all 3 pieces will have this cut out. Now, this doesn't show this design here, but this design needs to be in here. Okay, I got it a little crooked. It's kind of hard to hold everything and do this. Anyway, you'll see this. This is just showing you, but I'll show it to you further. Anyway, your design, whatever you choose for your design. See, I've got the design in here. You want to only cut out this section right here of all 3 of these. So 3 of these for that and 2 of these for that. Okay, so here is how we want to set up. Goodness, this glue it's not terribly new, but it's not really grabbing. Okay, so let's turn this around so you can see it. Okay, so you see now you've got to cut that out and then this out and leave one layer still there. Okay, so now I want to do this part of the clock face, and then I'm going to add a door. At this point, if you don't want a door, then this is all you need to do to get your clock face ready. And this piece is 3 layers, and you cut the center out of it. And what you'll want to do when you have taken your drawing and you've made sure both sides match up, you've got your drawing like you like it, make a photocopy or trace it so you have another copy. And then you'll have that second copy to cut these pieces out of. And then this full piece right here, the hourglass. So here's my hourglass. Here's this piece. And here's this piece. This is 3 layers. This is 3 layers. And this is 4 layers. Usually the footing sits out a little bit from the rest of the piece in real furniture. So let me glue these down. And so you've got this space to put any decoration you want. And if you make any goofs, like right here, I goofed a little bit and I cut it away by accident. You can fill that in with your wood glue. Just use your wood glue to fill any gaps or any little miscuts. I'm using tacky glue right now I could use wood glue, but I've been using the tacky glue on the layers. So I'll just go ahead. Now the thing is it can slip a little bit. So before you put your weights on it, and while your weights, check it a little bit and make sure it doesn't slip, especially the slick side of the cereal box will sometimes, start to slip and move around. We don't want it to move around. Now, I did get these a little bit off, but that's okay. We'll just come down. We'll just make up the difference. Because once the paint's on it, it won't matter too much. And clean away the glue. Okay, so let me get this piece. And also, when you're working to get things symmetrical. Oh my gosh, I got that stuck to my finger. When you're working to get things symmetrical, you still, you're cutting layers, so it still can get off a little bit. So try it each direction, front and back, and see which one looks like it fits the best. Okay, so this one wants to butt right up against there. Any gap, I've got a little bit of a gap right in here. I can put wood glue there. I'll just see how it looks first. Now see, this has started, it slipped a little bit to the right. So this is where these 1, 2, 3 blocks come in real handy. And then the sides of this, I'm going to put wood glue on the sides and fill in any gaps. Okay, so let's get the bottom footing. And I said this was 4 layers. This was just one extra. They're very thin layers. It doesn't really show a whole, can't really tell that it's a 4th layer too much, but it stands out a little bit. Okay. Now spend some time lining everything up and making sure. Well, somehow I got, did I put that on backwards? Well, I guess I did. I started on one side and silly. Okay, I started on one side and then started gluing on the other side. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, so put glue on both sides. And it's good to mark the number of layers. I've got that written on each one of them on the front of each piece. And the other thing it's good, if you write on it, then you won't glue both sides. So whatever helps you keep track of what's front and back and the number of layers. I think this is a really pretty, fun piece. It is a lot of repetitive cutting, but it really is pretty at the end. And an unusual piece, because grandfather clocks are made in wood. And you could make this out of wood. And speaking of that, let me show you a product that I bought. Now, I'm making it out of cardboard, so I'm not going to use this product. But I got this recently at Hobby Lobby, and it's Americana. It's made by Deco Art. And this is Make It Stain. It says turn acrylic paint into a gel wood stain. And you use a 1-to-1 ratio. I haven't tried it yet, but this is cardboard, so it won't have a grain. So I need to cover it with paint and make the grain by using different colors of paint. But this is if you are using wood, you might want to try that. Okay, so let me make sure I didn't get any gaps, and then we'll set that on there. Okay, so let me tell you the colors I'm using. This is the lightest. This is honey brown, this is black. I'm adding the black in to make streaks. So I'm using these 4 colors. And, you know, they can be by anybody. It's just trying to get the look of different woods. And you only use the black sparingly. It's just to get some dark light, you know, dark lines into it. And you can add it, because really the darker a brown gets, they do put black into it. You know, black can be a green black, it can be a blue black, or a brown black. So just use your different colors for whatever effect you want in your faux finish. And I think this, because this is the print side of the cereal box, you're going to have to paint this up 2 or 3 times to get it to take all the paint. And I did it dark so that the pendulum will stand out more. Okay, so let's see how our pendulum's doing. Okay, I've got it. And see how it's kind of turning. That's why I said you might want to put a dab of glue right up in here to keep it from turning. And that's just up to you. And check your, I was looking at this and I wasn't sure if it was, let me see, gotta be able to set it down. Wasn't sure it was hanging straight in the center. So before this piece sets up really good, you may want to put the pendulum on it and make sure that it's setting straight up and down. Now I'm going to put a dab of glue because it looks like it's swinging all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and try to make it stay in one spot. Oops. Get the glue underneath it, underneath that little spacer. And then pull the pendulum straight forward and let that set. And we'll just set that over there and try not to breathe on it. Make it move. Okay, so here is my door. If you've gone on and you say you want a door, then here's the next thing. We've got another piece. Like I said, it's repetitive. And this is this hourglass piece. Again, it's 3 more layers, but this time you do 2 layers this way and 1 layer of your trash plastic in the same shape, and then 1 back layer. And you'll put before you put wedge your plastic in between, put these together after they've dried. And I've gone ahead and painted them because if I try to paint them later, I've got the plastic there, and that's going to get scratching on the plastic and paint on it while I'm trying to scratch the paint off of it. It's going to be a mess. So paint this first, but put these together and decide, you know, if you got all the cardboard out and they match up and there's nothing showing lighter color. Now see, right there is a tiny bit of lighter color, and it's going to be very hard to get to it with the plastic wedged in between it. So I went around it. This is one of those projects. I've gone back and forth with this for a couple of months, just between other projects. I just keep going back and looking at it and working on it a little bit. I think I'm going to glue the front first. So well, I turn my glue up. Now I'll shake it down. Okay, so we want to get the plastic in there, but we don't want any glue coming out on the plastic. So try to use this glue sparingly. I use the tip to kind of smear it out. You want enough, but not too much, because You really don't want it on the plastic. So try to smear it out before you put it together. And the first one I made, which I'll show you, I did scratch it, trying to get a little bit, so it really scratched easily. I was surprised how easily the trash plastic, it doesn't look so scratched. And also, the trash plastic can have this, hold it up to the light, because see, I found that this one kind of had dots in it. I'm just going to go with it, because this is going to be a Halloween clock. I think I'm going to try to do a Halloween room box if I can get all the pieces done before that time. I have another Halloween project to show you that's pretty cool and different, and maybe add some pieces to it. I made it a couple of years ago, and so okay, so we've got the plastic layer. Now I need the back layer, and the back layer is important because you're going to open your door. So you don't want to see plastic. And it's important to cut it before you put the door on, because then it would be hard to get that shape just perfect and matched up. Okay, again, watch your glue so you don't smear your glue all over the plastic. Go gentle getting that together. Easy, easy. I see some potential glue coming out. Okay, so a grandfather or a grandmother clock, grandmother clocks, they're good anytime, anytime, anywhere, in your dollhouse, in your Halloween. Okay, so at this point, I'm looking to see if there's any plastic. I see a little bit of plastic over here, so I might not have pushed it in. But spend some time when you're cutting these pieces, getting everything just right, so all you have to do is glue it together. Now I do see a tiny bit over here when I pushed it. But now the scissors I'm using, I have these little tiny scissors that have the, the point. They're like cuticle scissors. And those have been real helpful. But I always keep going back to these titanium Fiskars. These are really great. These have cut the cardboard really great. And they've cut through 2 layers of the cardboard easily enough. So I got these in a set of 3 scissors, and so I used one pair, the bigger pair, to put into my sewing, and then the other 2 in crafting. And I just really think those titanium Fiskars are good. Okay, now I have a little bit of an edge, and I'm not sure I can get close enough. You can probably see, you can see the glare just a little bit. But if I can't get too close, I'll just take a pen, like a alcohol pen, and just brown it, or some paint and just brown it. So, okay, so there's our door. And I'm going to go ahead and put some clamps on it for now. And let this set. Really good while we look at how this is doing. Okay, so how's our front doing? Looks like it might have shifted a slight bit at the base. Now see, I've got a little bit of an edge right here where it looks like it might have shifted. It doesn't look like it wants to move over. That's where I was saying you can go ahead and put in some wood glue. We can just we can just come in and put some little wood glue right in that spot. I got this from Dollar Tree. It's over in like the automotive-y kind of stuff. Well, I'm trying to move this over, but that cardboard glued together fast. Okay, so next phase of this is to put glue around the edges. You can choose to put it on this edge or whichever you choose, and then go ahead and set this up. So there it is. Just glue that together. And then when the door is dry, then we'll put the door on, and it'll open. And then your clock face will go in whatever clock face you choose, and it'll go on this side, and then this will go through the door. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the first one that I made so we can see how to decorate. Here it is. There's the little tie-back pieces. You put them at the roundest point on your curve on your door. Just literally glue them in, just little tiny pieces. They only need to be like around little more than 1/4 of an inch, and just, you don't want it coming over the glass, so you might want to crease them. Go ahead and crease them before. And I use super glue. Put super glue to glue them before you do your painting, and then you'll paint. I might make this a little bit thinner. Fold it over to begin with, and that'll help it kind of fit into that. You know, glue it on one side. And so, see how that'll just glue right on there on each side of the roundest part of your door, and then glue it onto the front. And then you'll paint over it. So, let's see if I can raise this up a little bit so we can see the whole clock. And so here's your ring. Your clock face is on the inside. If you choose to do the door to open, here's where I took this piece of resin and I cut this away here, and I cut this out because there wasn't room for it. And I ran these down the sides on each side, and I put that piece. I don't know if you just saw the brightness. My phone just went real bright and then back. Sorry about that. Okay, down here I used this little small resin mold, and I did these. I did these with the overnight dry kind of resin because of these being opaque molds. I don't know if you have luck doing the UV quick dry with these colored molds. I don't know. You can comment about it if it works out. I typically do the overnight dry. And I was having trouble with my resins, and I want to say I've narrowed it down to 2 things. The pigment that I was putting in was white, and this I put in a coffee that was a liquid, thin, you could see through it, coffee color. And these turned out fine. The other thing is the humidity has not been a factor. And I don't know which it is, but I've narrowed it down to when I was having trouble that it was one of those two things. So if you have any trouble and it's rainy, then that's the humidity. Okay, now you see I put another little piece right here, and then those are those, and here's our doorknob. And then these are just little pieces cut off the outer ends of any of these. There's one mold that has 3 of these kind of, well, there's my little handle. It's not time to put it on. I'm going to lose it before I ever get it on. See, it's got this little design, and you can just cut that out and use that. And use this little fleur-de-lis or whatever you have down there. So when you're drawing out your design, it's a good idea to look at what resin pieces you have or what you're going to, need space for to include that into your design. So here's our pendulum sitting there, and there it is. And I just did a pin. This is just a straight pin, and I cut off half of the straight pin. So there's the Glock. And just do your faux paint, do a dark color first, add your little blacky brown streaks into it, add some lighter color streaks. And whatever you've got, make it match your door that you paint first. So practice on your door. Now I did get a little bit of a crease right in here, this first one. So be careful with your layers that you don't bend them. Somehow it got bent while it was setting up layers. So I hope you'll try this. And if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't, so I can grow my channel. And hopefully I'll get to do a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. And so I appreciate you coming by. And if you have any comments or questions, I'll be glad to answer. Okay, so thanks a bunch. Bye.